Welcome to the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, and I'm so excited that you're here. The Plan B CRNA podcast is the only show made specifically for nurse anesthetists who are exploring options outside of their traditional career paths. This is the place to expand your mind and your goals as we uncover new ways to produce side income together. The mindset that we bring to any situation plays a key part in overcoming challenges and really enjoying our unique paths in life. On Thoughtful Thursdays, I like to explore emotional topics that are relevant to CRNAs and other providers. I think of this as my therapy, and I hope you learn some tips and tricks that you can use along your own journey. This episode is brought to you by On-Call Capital. On-Call Capital is dedicated to educating CRNAs and other healthcare providers about investing outside of the traditional stock market. On-Call Capital also provides opportunities for you, yes, you, to create passive income and generational wealth while also lowering your taxable income through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure you do that right now so that you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now on with the show. Welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones. We are approaching Thanksgiving, which means it's time to start thinking about that big meal. I love to cook, and looking back, we've experimented as a family outside of the traditional meals several times over the years. But whether we have ham, seafood, or lasagna, whether the turkey is baked, smoked, or fried, there's always an abundance of food, drink, and festivities. And it's this overall idea of abundance that got me thinking. So let's get to our quote. Wayne Dyer once said, "Abundance is not something we acquire. It is something we tune into." Now, for those of us in the business world, we are regularly bombarded with positivity and prompts to alter our mindset. The general idea is that most of the rest of the world works in a scarcity mindset. People are generally insecure about the things that they lack, and they become so obsessed with obtaining those things like wealth, power, time, etc., that they can't seem to focus on much else. It clouds their thinking because they think that life is a finite pie. And if someone else takes a big piece, then there's less for everyone else. The scarcity mentality runs rampant in many industries. Take healthcare, for example. Promotions and raises are scarce. Resources are limited. Micromanagement runs rampant as hospital executives and leaders hoard information. In general, short-term thinking is the norm as people are trying to get theirs. Now, this mentality can really hinder our efforts to achieve big goals. In order to be successful, we must break out of this scarcity mindset and discover more of an abundance mindset, a concept in which a person believes there are enough resources and successes to share with others. At least that's the definition according to Stephen Covey, the author who originally coined the term in his 1989 bestseller, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Since that time, fostering an abundance mindset has been widely recognized as a beneficial path to take toward personal and spiritual development. And make no mistake, this is spiritual. An abundance mindset can help you to find more satisfaction in life, exude happiness despite your circumstances, express more creativity, and give and receive affections and items of value with greater ease. In short, you can feel secure and confident in your life endeavors and create successful outcomes. How can you start on your own path to an abundance mindset? Well, I have a few ways you can begin. Keep in mind that this is not a comprehensive list. This is merely the beginning of what can be a lifelong process after all. But let's start off with 6 simple steps. Number 1, incorporate gratitude into your daily life. Expressing gratitude improves mental and physical well-being and the overall experience of happiness. There are many ways to practice this. Writing down 5 things per day that you're grateful for, setting gratitude alarms on your phone, or keeping a gratitude journal. I have much more information on this particular subject in episode 18 of the show. Number 2, focus on what you have. Now, this is different from the attitude of gratitude that I just mentioned. If you're someone who's, let's say, thinking about making a job or career change, you may have limiting thoughts such as, well, I haven't done that since I was in school, or there aren't any good jobs around here, or I can't work there because I won't have a backup. Instead, turn that around to thoughts like, well, I was able to learn that skill once, I can learn it again. Or I have a ton of skills that can be used in a number of different settings. Or I have 15 years of experience and taking great care of patients is what I'm best at. Number 3, think like a beginner. An abundance mentality craves learning and growth, requiring an underlying knowledge that you don't know everything, but you can learn everything. You can cultivate an attitude of openness and enthusiasm, along with the willingness to override pre-existing preconceptions, just as a true beginner would. You can develop this by learning something new that places you in the uncomfortable state of not knowing. Number 4, create win-win situations. A scarcity mindset believes that if one person wins, another loses. Try to combat this idea by creating win-win scenarios in your own personal and professional lives. This can mean listening without judgment or censorship, brainstorming solutions with a fellow coworker to find what works for both, or fully understanding what a win-win looks like for you and your spouse or child. On a side note, the win-win situations and alternative investments are what attracted me to the space. And these are exactly the kinds of relationships that I try to cultivate with operators and investors at On-Call Capital. Number 5, surround yourself with others who have an abundance mindset. I've often heard that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. And I think that there's certainly a lot of truth to that. Some people are glasses half full people, and others are glasses half empty. If you don't have the right folks around you, you should start looking for other people who are living that life that you aspire to. Number 6, believe that the sky's the limit. The enemy of abundance is a contracted awareness. A Harvard study found that when people focus intently on one particular thing, other possibilities right in front of them go unnoticed. Try to learn how to loosen your mind's focus a bit to create that expanded awareness that fosters the abundance mentality. So I want to get into a bit of an example. I've modeled my own business after a fellow who was about 3 to 4 years ahead of me, and he is absolutely crushing it. My own goals are only about half as ambitious as what he's already accomplished. So in my mind, they're pretty conservative. Now, a newer colleague of mine asked recently about my 3-year plan for my business. And when I shared my own goals with this newer colleague, he was astonished at how high those goals actually were. In turn, I was astonished that he was astonished. He's already crushing his own goals, yet mine surprised him. And it hadn't even entered my mind that, I might not be able to achieve these goals that I set for myself. Whether or not I do doesn't matter in my own abundance, but I don't think that they're impossible by any stretch. The people I've surrounded myself with have helped me shape my own abundance reality. And my new colleague is seeing his own world change as he surrounds himself with others who only see the sky as the limit too. Now, as usual, I've attached a few articles for you to check out on your own. This is really an in-depth topic that I've really only touched on today. So do your own deep dive if you so choose. Also check out The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey and the book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Dweck. Both are great books on mindset that help you, accomplish those different mindset changes that you might be looking for in your own journey. I am truly grateful for all of you who have tuned in to listen or watch this episode. I'm consistently humbled by the positive responses that people are having to the show. I hope that you're able to find the abundance in your own life and help others out along the way. If you found value today, make sure you hit subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. I also want to hear from you. If you have a question, comment, or topic that you'd like me to cover in an upcoming show, make sure you rate and review on your podcast player. I check those all the time, and I cover those questions in future episodes. Be safe and take care of each other. This is Bobby Jones signing off. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Plan B CRNA podcast. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed the show, I'd be honored if you took the extra time. It really helps to expand our reach and get the word out about the show. If you're a CRNA who is interested in sharing your story on our podcast, I'd love to have you. Please email me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com for more information. This episode was brought to you by On-Call Capital. They are dedicated to helping providers like you develop passive income and generational wealth through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. Feel free to check out their website at www.oncallinvestments.com and subscribe to their free educational email series. You can find On-Call Capital on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our YouTube page, where you'll find all of the show episodes along with other educational videos. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.